I've noticed something. A lot of white people don't like white people. Everybody knows white people are racist against blacks, right?
Racism in America is endemic. It is foundational.
Are you also blaming racism?
Yeah.
For that failed union vote in Chattanooga?
I'm blaming much more culture than I am race. I think there was an undercurrent of some race.
Okay, now stop.
To the point where now more than half of white Americans have these anti-black attitudes.
Possibility number one, 12 Years a Slave wins Best Picture. Possibility number two, you're all racists.
The mass majority of whites do not want their children to have babies by black men.
With the Tea Party, they are mean, racist people.
The Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander kindergarten students are nearly twice as likely to be held back a year as white kindergarten students.
You look at the way the Attorney General of the United States was treated yesterday by a House committee. Had nothing to do with me. Forget that. What Attorney General has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment?
I think race has something to do with the fact that they're not bringing up an immigration bill.
The map of the states that aren't expanding Medicaid. And that's a region of the country in which the Medicaid recipients are predominantly people of color.
The Republican base does have elements that are animated by
I think not raising the minimum wage is a racist policy.
Do you feel that there is racism in the world of sports?
Yes, it does. Certainly does.
And how did...
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, you left the Republican Party because you were going to lose to Marco Rubio.
No, it was because I couldn't be consistent with myself and my core beliefs and stay with a party that was so unfriendly toward the African-American president. I'll just go there.
Wills claims his prosecution on the color of his skin.
I know because of the way I come from and the color I am, it doesn't usually work like that with you guys, but I am presumed innocent, and that's what we're going with, all right?
And when Grandpa tells that off-color joke at Thanksgiving, or you got an aunt that talks about those people.
Americans, you know, how well you do in life today, how good your education is, how good your health care is, depends too much on the color of your skin. Or how
you're telling me in the talk radio business, it's clear there's a lot of discrimination in talk radio.
Really? Well, by the way, the reason I have these runoffs is to make sure no black guy ever won a nomination.
I'll be able to dig up some emails that make part of the Affordable Care Act that doesn't look good, especially from people who've made up their mind that they don't want it to work because they don't like the president. Maybe he's of the wrong color.
All right, so let's review the whole story. Wealthy owners, check. Profit made from the sale of black bodies, check. Racial angst, check.
That's the street. Why are black people afraid of chainsaws? Don't even say it. Don't say it.
There's a certain racial component to this for some people. I don't think this is the thing, is a main driver, but for some, there's a racial animus.
I think it's conservative religious beliefs, which he is certainly, has the right to express. But when you keep saying he's brave, just because you're Bull Connor was brave, a lot of white racists were brave.
It's almost like an apartheid state. When you look at the school board, not a single African American on the school board.
One problem I've had today is keeping my wrongs straight. I think that there is almost zero chance that his race and social class played no role.
Number two, to be very, very honest with you, in the South has not always been the friendliest place for African Americans. It's been a difficult time for the president to present himself in a very positive light as a leader.
Marilyn is from Louisiana. She knows the history of Louisiana like I know the history of South Carolina.
This is about race. The Republicans hate that nigger Obama.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
That when you look at it on the field, you see predominantly African-American men with no ownership in the team.
But the foundation of this country is racism and white supremacy, and all of our institutions uphold that.
So I've been seeing this girl recently, this black girl, right? She lives up in Harlem, gone out like 3-4 times, First time we hung out in like the Village area in New York, which is sort of like a racially mixed area. So was cool, you know what I mean? Second time we hung out was more like Midtown, Then the third time, she called me at like 3:30 in the morning, and she wanted me to come up to her apartment, right? So it's 3:30 in the morning, she lives in Harlem, I look how I look, so it's a situation. Yeah, because you know the deal, right? Basically, a white dude feels comfortable up to about like 98th, 99th Street, you know what I'm saying? The second the streets start getting into like triple digits, like 100, 101st Street, start getting like a little asthma, like, it's starting to get a little high up here. You feel that little tightness in your chest? Can you feel that? 106th Street, you're like leaning on like, dude, where'd all the cabs go? How come there's no taxis up here? Dude, what's a bodega? I don't know what that is. Let's get the out of here.
Why, they're racist. Run for your lives. Hide the women and children. They're out to get us.
Right now, thousands of gun rights activists, white nationalists, militia groups, all swarming the Virginia state capitol.
There are a lot of people nervous about what's going to happen.
Authorities in Richmond are on high alert.
It could be a tense day.
Such polarization, what may happen in Virginia.
Several hate groups, supposedly some white nationalists.
White nationalists.
White nationalists. White nationalists.
White nationalist groups. White supremacists.
Really? White nationalists? I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying they should be ignored. But of the blacks who are killed in this country, and about half of the homicide victims in this country are in fact black people, how many of them were killed by white nationalists?
I'm being honest with you, bro. I'm being honest with you. They post? Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. Listen, chill. But let me be honest with you. I just want to say this, right? I want to tell you something right now. African Americans make up 13% of the population, yet commit over 50% of the violent gun and drug crime in the United States.
And you don't think there's a problem with those
No, that's true. It's 55%.
Okay.
Right? So 95% of that is to other blacks. So me as an African American, I have a 2,000 time more likelihood to be shot and killed by another black man leaving this event than I do by a white person, a police officer, and a neo-Nazi.
If whites are trying to make black people feel inferior, they're failing pretty badly. Black people have higher self-esteem than whites. Black women are far more confident about their bodies than are white women, even though black women are more likely to be obese. It ain't working. And as I said, a whole lot of white people don't like white people.
There was a study done last year where people were asked to rate their feelings about various races, and white liberals were the only group that has a bias against themselves.
Steve Doocy is so white, he thinks meatloaf is exotic.
If I could just speak to my fellow angry white American guys who are semi-uneducated like me, dudes, give it up.
I'm reminded of my own grandson. He's Irish, English, whatever, and Italian American. He's the mix. But he looks more like the other side of the family, shall we say. And when he had his sixth birthday, he had a very close friend whose name is Antonio, who's from Guatemala, and he has beautiful tan skin, beautiful brown eyes, and the rest. And this was such a proud day for me because when my grandson blew out the candles on his cake, they said, "Did you make a wish?" And he said, "Yes, I made a wish." He said, "Well, what is your wish?" He said, "I wish I had brown skin and brown eyes like Antonio." So beautiful. So beautiful.
And Larry King, the longtime CNN interviewer, once told me that his kids wish they were black. Apparently, so do a lot of people.
We were very in touch with our children as they were growing up. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was in touch with the teachers at school when she went to elementary school. This just simply didn't happen. She didn't ever draw herself as an African American.
Right. Well, I definitely am not white. Nothing about being white describes who I am. So, what's the word for it? You know, I mean, the closest thing that I can come to is if you're black or white, I'm black. I'm more black than I am white.
How bad do some white people not want to be white people? Well, actor Tom Hanks and his white wife had a biological white son who, through some process,
It's moving. It's alive. It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Hanks' son became a black rapper. I'm surprised the NAACP hasn't sued him for cultural appropriation. Now you have white guys who sound like black guys.
My kids got baptized at a black church. Wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I prefer white church myself. Black church just takes too long for me. You got to have your day free. You can't make no plans going to a black church. Yep. You plan on going to a football game, you ain't gonna make it. Hey, you might not make Monday Night Football while you're bull.
And we have black guys who sound like white guys.
We're lighting the national Christmas tree. You just push a button and it's electrified, which is exactly what you don't want to have happen at a turkey party. I thought that was funny, Michelle.
And finally, we've got to ask the $64,000 question. Why is it that so many whites want to be black? My goodness, I withdraw the question. I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.